Last month, the judge issued a temporary restraining order blocking Mayor Tiffany Henyard from making certain appointments without approval from her supervisor, Trump. The ruling came after a series of public controversies and legal battles that have engulfed her leadership in Dalton, Illinois. In an interview, Henyard acknowledged the immense pressure being embroiled in political drama, dealing with lawsuits, restraining orders, and public outrage. Describing her experience as the plot of a novel, she admitted that her reality was only getting messier by the day. So, what led to this political firestorm? How did she land in such hot water? Let's dive into the mayhem surrounding Henyard's leadership and unravel the legal troubles, community unrest, and growing hostility that have made Dalton a hotspot for political drama. At the heart of the controversy is the ongoing conflict over village board meetings. Now, you'd think board meetings would be pretty routine, local officials gathering to discuss budgets, ordinances, and other community matters. But in Dalton, things are far from ordinary. Henyard has been in the headlines for months, but not for reasons that would inspire confidence in her leadership. The problem began when she insisted on holding village board meetings at the town's village hall, a decision that sparked an unexpected chain of events on the surface. Holding meetings at the village hall might seem like a simple, logical choice, but there was one major flaw. The building didn't have the capacity to accommodate the increasing number of residents wanting to attend these meetings. The Illinois Attorney General's office pointed out that state law mandates local governments to host public meetings in venues large enough to ensure that all members of the community have a chance to attend. This regulation is in place to promote transparency and public participation. As Dalton's population grew, so did the demand for people wanting to voice their concerns at these meetings despite clear indications that Village Hall wasn't large enough. Henyard remained adamant that the meetings should continue there. Her refusal to acknowledge the space limitations led to frustration among residents who felt their concerns were being disregarded. When multiple requests to move the meetings to a larger venue went unanswered, the Park District trustees stepped in. They recognized the importance of ensuring that all residents could attend and participate, so they offered their facilities as an alternative venue for the meetings. The Park District's intervention seemed like a practical solution to a growing problem. The new venue was bigger, more accessible, and in compliance with state regulations. But Henyard and some local officials weren't convinced. They argued that the Park District was an appropriate place for government meetings, sparking a fresh wave of tension. On one side, residents saw the move as a necessary step to ensure transparency and inclusivity. On the other side, Henyard's opposition further fueled distrust in her leadership. This issue quickly evolved from a simple debate over meeting locations into a full-blown political crisis. The situation worsened when Henyard's refusal to relocate the meetings led to legal battles and escalating public anger. Lawsuits piled up, increasing legal costs, and many residents began to question Henyard's leadership. Some even accused her of wasting taxpayer money on unnecessary litigation, further eroding her credibility. As meetings continued to be held at the Park District, it became clear that this dispute was about more than just a venue. It was about a larger struggle for transparency, accountability, and inclusiveness in the decision-making process. The legal costs of this ongoing battle began to mount, creating additional frustration among Dalton residents who were forced to watch their tax dollars disappear into what many considered unnecessary lawsuits. The controversy raised important questions about whether the local government, under Henyard's leadership, was truly serving the needs of the community or prioritizing its own political battles. With every meeting held at the Park District, the divide between Henyard and the community seemed to grow deeper. What began as a seemingly minor disagreement over meeting logistics transformed into a political and legal nightmare for Henyard. The board meetings, once seen as an essential forum for local governance, became a symbol of the dysfunction plaguing Dalton's local government. The ongoing drama has left many residents frustrated, wondering whether their voices will ever truly be heard in the midst of all this chaos. As this conflict continues, Dalton's leadership hangs in the balance. The future of Henyard's political career is uncertain, as the community grows increasingly disillusioned with the legal and political battles that defined her time in office. What was supposed to be a simple matter of finding a venue for public meetings has turned into a complex web of lawsuits, public outcry, and political infighting. The mess is only growing, and Dalton residents are left to wonder how this political storm will ultimately play out in the meantime. Henyard's efforts to cling to power have only deepened the divide in the community. The question remains, will the mayor find a way out of this legal and political quagmire, or will the growing public hostility finally force her to step down? As the situation unfolds, one thing is clear. The saga of Dalton's local government is far from over, and the drama is far from finished.
to correct those things that the Attorney General required. And so we believe that for that reason, the meeting was...
Mayor Tiffany Henyard of Dalton, Illinois, has been embroiled in a controversy that stretches far beyond typical local government issues, spiraling into a legal and political maelstrom that threatens her position and the integrity of the village. From her refusal to comply with state regulations to her personal and professional missteps, Henyard's actions have drawn intense scrutiny, raising questions about her leadership, ethics, and commitment to the community. The situation, once centered around simple administrative decisions, has escalated into a political and legal drama that could have long-lasting consequences. At the heart of the controversy is Henyard's steadfast refusal to follow the guidance of state officials and the practical needs of the community regarding village board meetings. The Illinois Attorney General's office had pointed out that the village hall, where Henyard insisted on holding board meetings, was simply too small to accommodate the growing number of residents who wished to attend. State law mandates that public meetings must be held in larger venues when necessary to ensure transparency and participation from the community. However, Henyard repeatedly ignored these warnings, insisting that the meetings take place at the village hall despite the obvious limitations. As the situation grew more untenable, the Park District stepped in and offered a larger, more accessible venue that complied with state regulations. The decision to move meetings to the Park District was made with the goal of allowing more residents to attend, participate, and voice their concerns in an open and democratic manner. However, Henyard remained steadfast in her opposition, arguing that the Park District was an inappropriate venue for such meetings. Her refusal to compromise only escalated tensions within the community, as many residents saw her actions as a blatant disregard for their needs and concerns. Henyard's behavior reached a boiling point during one of the Park District meetings when she arrived late, made provocative remarks, and then left abruptly after defiantly declaring, "I am the mayor of the village of Dalton." Her grandstanding was met with boos and jeers from the crowd, who made their disapproval clear. Rather than taking this as an opportunity for self-reflection, Henyard doubled down on her position, shifting the focus of the controversy from a venue choice to an increasingly hostile legal battle determined to assert her authority. Henyard filed a lawsuit against the Park District and several village trustees, claiming that the meetings held at the Park District were unlawful, despite the clear directives from state officials and the fact that the Park District meetings adhered to the state's open meetings law. Henyard argued that the venue violated her interpretation of the law. This legal action raised further questions about her motives. Was this a legitimate effort to protect the law, or was it simply an attempt to retain control over village operations? And, ultimately, her position as mayor. Critics of Henyard's actions, including trustee Jason House, have argued that her behavior is less about governance and more about power. House, who has worked tirelessly to ensure that the meetings remain open and accessible, has consistently defended the Park District venue, emphasizing that it offers much-needed space for residents without making them feel excluded or crowded. He has pointed out that the larger venue not only meets the state's legal requirements, but also allows for a more democratic and inclusive process. However, Henyard's refusal to cooperate with her colleagues and her erratic behavior at meetings have turned each gathering into a circus, disrupting the proceedings and leaving others to clean up the mess. She creates the growing divide between Henyard and the village trustees has deepened the rift within the community. Henyard's continued refusal to collaborate with her colleagues and abide by the law has raised serious questions about her leadership. Instead of fostering an environment of collaboration and transparency, Henyard has fueled division, creating a toxic atmosphere in which trust and cooperation have been severely undermined. What began as a simple disagreement over where to hold board meetings has now escalated into a much larger conflict, casting doubt on Henyard's ability to lead and effectively govern. The legal troubles for Henyard didn't end with the venue dispute. Recently, a county judge issued a restraining order against the mayor, preventing her from making key appointments to the village's leadership team without the necessary approval from the village board. The order came after Henyard attempted to appoint a new village attorney, administrator, and police chief without consulting the board, decisions that are traditionally subject to board approval to ensure transparency and collective decision-making. The trustees filed a lawsuit, arguing that Henyard was overstepping her authority, and the judge sided with them, ruling that the mayor could not unilaterally make such significant decisions. This ruling was a major legal setback for Henyard, signaling that her attempt to consolidate power without the involvement of the board were not legally permissible. Despite the judge's decision and the restraining order, Henyard appeared undeterred, continuing to make appointments to key positions in the village in defiance of the court's ruling. By disregarding the restraining order, Henyard has been walking a dangerously thin line, testing the boundaries of the legal system. It seems as though she believes the consequences of defying the court's decision will not be severe enough to deter her from pushing forward with her agenda. However, by continuing to ignore the legal process, Henyard risks further alienating herself from both the legal system and the community. Her actions suggest a defiant stance, one in which she seems to believe that the rules don't apply to her. This blatant disregard for the law could invite more legal complications and damage her already fragile political standing. With each defiant act, she chips away at the trust of the public and undermines her own authority, sending a message that she is more interested in maintaining control than in following the rules that govern her position as Henyard continues to challenge the courts and the legal system. The tension between her and the village board only grows. The legal battle seems far from over, and the community is left wondering whether their mayor will ever prioritize the needs of the people over her own desire for power. It appears that the controversy surrounding Henyard's leadership is only just beginning, and the consequences of her actions could have far-reaching implications for her career. If things weren't bad enough, new revelations have surfaced that suggest Henyard may be facing even more serious legal challenges. Allegedly, the FBI has opened an inquiry into claims of financial mismanagement and corruption involving the mayor. Rumors have been circulating within the community that Henyard has been using her political position for personal gain, enriching herself and her inner circle at the expense of the residents she was elected to serve. Accusations of bribery and awarding questionable contracts to her friends and family have been at the center of the investigation, raising serious concerns about the integrity of local governance. The most shocking development in this scandal came when Henyard's longtime boyfriend, who had reportedly grown disillusioned with her actions, took the stand to testify against her in court. His testimony revealed explosive details about Henyard's alleged corruption, including claims that she had used public funds for personal expenses, lavish trips, expensive purchases, and a lifestyle far beyond what one would expect from a public servant. According to his statements, Henyard had treated the village's financial resources as her own personal piggy bank, prioritizing her own desires over the needs of the community. In addition to the allegations of financial mismanagement, Henyard's boyfriend testified that she had been awarding lucrative contracts to her friends and family without proper oversight. This practice, commonly known as nepotism, has now come to light as part of a much larger web of alleged corruption. According to the boyfriend's testimony, Henyard had been accepting bribes from local developers and contractors in exchange for favorable municipal decisions. The details of the corruption scandal have been gradually unraveling, with more and more evidence emerging to expose Henyard's unethical behavior. The courtroom drama took an even more dramatic turn when Henyard's boyfriend, her former partner, publicly testified against her. The emotional scene in the courtroom was reportedly filled with tension, as Henyard reportedly lost her composure and confronted her boyfriend in disbelief, creating a spectacle of emotion. This public betrayal added an entirely new layer of drama to an already tumultuous situation, with Henyard's personal life now intertwined with the ongoing political crisis. Having political rivals accuse her of corruption is one thing, but having her own partner betray her in such a public and damaging way has taken the scandal to a whole new level. The fallout from these revelations has been swift and severe. Dalton residents, who had once trusted Henyard as their leader, have taken to social media in droves to express their outrage. The hashtag HenyardDesign has been trending, with many citizens demanding answers and an immediate investigation into her actions. The public is furious, questioning how a leader they once believed was working in their best interests could have used her position to line her own pockets, while neglecting the very people she was elected to serve. The scandal has struck a deep chord within the community, as residents feel betrayed by the person they once trusted. As the investigation unfolds, the demand for Henyard's resignation grows louder. The revelations of her alleged corruption have sparked a firestorm of outrage, and it's clear that the public will not rest until there is accountability. The fallout from this scandal will likely continue to dominate headlines for months, if not longer, as the citizens of Dalton come to terms with the possibility that their mayor has been engaging in illegal activities that have severely undermined the welfare of the village. What began as a simple issue over where to hold village board meetings has now spiraled into a full-blown corruption scandal, and Henyard's political future hangs in the balance. The investigation is ongoing, and the community is calling for accountability. The question remains, can Henyard weather the storm, or will she ultimately be forced to step down? Her actions have already created deep divisions in the village, and it seems that the consequences of her behavior will be felt for years to come. As the legal battles continue, it seems increasingly likely that Henyard's time as mayor may be coming to an end. Tiffany Henyard's actions as mayor of Dalton, Illinois, have finally become the breaking point for many of her once devoted supporters. After months of turmoil and a constant stream of legal battles, scandals, and accusations, even those who had stood by her are starting to lose faith in her leadership. Henyard's attempt to portray the ongoing issues as politically motivated attacks have become increasingly difficult to believe. especially as new revelations continue to emerge. Her strategy of shifting blame onto others is falling flat, and with each new scandal, it's harder for anyone to defend her. At the heart of this growing crisis are the village trustees, who have been working tirelessly to keep Dalton functioning despite Henyard's constant interference. The trustees have done their best to continue village operations in the face of her defiance, ensuring that the community's needs are met. But with the mayor actively undermining their efforts, their task has become nearly impossible. Henyard has openly defied court orders, including a restraining order that prohibited her from making key appointments without the board's approval. Her blatant disregard for law has made governance incredibly difficult and is threatening to destabilize the entire village. At one point, a judge even threatened to jail Henyard as she continued violating the restraining order, a move that would have seemed unthinkable for any other public official. Yet, Henyard has shown no signs of backing down. She continues to act as though the rules simply don't apply to her, pushing the boundaries to see how far she can go without facing consequences. It's as if she's daring the legal system to enforce the law, treating it like a game of legal brinksmanship. Her defiant behavior is increasingly resembling that of a crime drama protagonist. A mayor seemingly immune to accountability, the situation has left the village in a state of crisis. The trustees have been forced to navigate through a maze of legal challenges and constant disruptions, but Henyard's ongoing interference has made it nearly impossible for them to move forward. Trust in her leadership has eroded to the point where even her closest allies are questioning her ability to govern. With every new scandal and lawsuit, Henyard's actions only make things worse, adding to the dysfunction and further alienating the residents of Dalton. The mounting frustration among the trustees has led to an increasingly hostile atmosphere, with Henyard's refusal to cooperate making it feel as though the village is on the brink of collapse. It's become clear that her stubbornness and disregard for the law have created an environment where progress is impossible, and any hope for resolution seems increasingly distant. The growing sense of dissatisfaction among the residents is palpable, and many are starting to question whether Henyard's grip on power is worth the chaos it's causing as tensions continue to escalate between Henyard and the trustees. It's becoming clear that the village is at crossroads. The legal battles, public scandals, and constant drama have left Dalton in a state of uncertainty, with no clear path forward. The future of the village hangs in the balance, and residents are left wondering if this endless conflict will ever end or if it will continue to tear the community apart despite the gravity of the situation. Henyard continues to portray herself as a martyr, insisting that she is the victim of a politically motivated attack designed to discredit her ahead of the next election. She has repeatedly denied the mounting evidence against her, including accusations of financial mismanagement and corruption, and claims that all of her actions have been in the best interest of the village. However, as the evidence against her continues to grow, it's becoming increasingly difficult for the public to buy into her narrative. The stakes for Henyard are incredibly high. If the accusations of financial mismanagement prove to be true, the implications for Dalton's finances could be devastating. If Henyard is found guilty of misusing public funds, the village could face an immediate financial crisis, with residents likely bearing the brunt of the fallout. The financial damage could deepen the crisis further, leaving Dalton in dire straits. The potential for Henyard to be forced out of office or removed through legal action raises additional questions. The process of designating an interim mayor would only add to the uncertainty and tension already gripping the village. Yet, Henyard remains defiant, refusing to accept any responsibility for her actions. Her insistence that she is being unfairly vilified has only added to the division within the community, with many residents questioning whether they can trust her to lead them forward. The situation has left many residents wondering if Henyard will ever face serious consequences for her actions. There is growing skepticism about the legal system's ability to hold her accountable, with some commenters expressing doubt that she will ever serve a day in prison, despite the severity of the accusations against her. One online observer remarked that instead of working for the village's success, Henyard seemed to have taken a large portion of the public funds for herself and paid others to cover up her actions. This growing sense of doubt is compounded by the ongoing drama, which has left many feeling frustrated, helpless, and disillusioned with their leadership. The situation in Dalton is at a breaking point. The community is divided, and the uncertainty surrounding Henyard's future has sparked a great deal of speculation. Will she finally be held accountable for her actions, or will she find a way to weather the storm and cling to power? The residents are watching closely, and their frustration is growing as they wait for answers. Many are asking whether Henyard will be removed from office or she will manage to escape the consequences of her alleged misdeeds. The future of Dalton is uncertain, and with each passing day, it seems that things are only getting worse. Henyard's defiance, repeated violations of court orders, and ongoing interference in village affairs have created a toxic environment that makes progress feel impossible. The trustees are doing their best to keep the village running, but their efforts are continually undermined by the mayor's actions with the community already in crisis. It's hard to see a way forward that doesn't involve significant change in leadership. Henyard's grip on power is weakening, but the question remains: will the legal system finally hold her accountable? Will the pressure from residents and the mounting evidence of her wrongdoing be enough to force her to step down? Or will she continue to fight back and attempt to retain control over the village as the situation unfolds? It is clear that Dalton is at a critical juncture. The future of the village and the leadership that will steer it forward remains in question. The community is waiting, hoping for a resolution that will bring stability and accountability. Whether Henyard can navigate her way out of this mess and restore faith in her leadership, or whether the weight of the evidence against her will force her to step down, is yet to be seen. But one thing is certain: the residents of Dalton are watching closely, and their voices will be heard as this high-stakes drama continues to play out.